Okay, today we're going to talk about windows. Here's a very, very simple building and it's providing shelter. Now, sometimes shelter can be in the simplest form, such as the way that a child might draw a house, or perhaps the simplest dwelling where we might live, some doors and some windows, but ultimately it's about providing shelter from the rain and the elements. So we might be wondering why do we need windows? So first of all, here's our lovely, very, very simple building again. Here's a nice roof. And we've got a window over here. And first thing is, it's just great to have a view. Just to be able to see out of the building. The next thing, which can be as important, just draw that along the bottom again, is this idea of we want to get daylight coming in, which gives a lovely background light, and then sometimes kind of direct sunlight as well to kind of bring the space to life. And as humans, we need to connect to the outside world. And then thirdly, the window itself. Let's just get that roof up there again. The window, if it opens, it's a great way of getting some ventilation coming into the space, into the room, but also getting sort of stale air and things out of the room as well. So ventilation is kind of important. Now, let's just talk about different types of windows. We've got what we might call a fixed window, which is essentially a piece of glass that sits in a wall. We might have a window that opens because we want to get fresh air in and get those smells out that we just mentioned, and that window might pivot like that. There we go, that's lovely. And in slightly older buildings, we used to have what's called sliding sash windows, where you had two pieces of glass in a frame, and the bottom half kind of slides up, and they often have these lovely little kind of hidden pulley systems to move the window up and down. And then sometimes we might have very small pieces of glass. You see this quite a lot in Georgian buildings, smaller pieces of glass, because the glass was, it was easier to put the window together, and having smaller pieces of glass meant that it just helped in terms of replacing a piece of glass if one got broken, and it sort of lends itself to a certain kind of architecture as well. And I know many people are fans of these kind of windows, and you'll see them in more historic buildings, and you get this lovely range of kind of windows with the smaller pieces of glass. Now, as we know, we use windows in buildings, and when we're thinking about the location of the windows within the building itself, we can have different ways of doing that. So one is a kind of very regular pattern, quite regimented, which means all the windows are exactly the same. It's quite efficient, but sometimes it can look a little bit dull. I've written the word dull and underlined it there. The next way of thinking is perhaps we might have kind of windows that are a little bit irregular, maybe different sizes, different patterns. This is quite nice if we've got different rooms in the building or different needs, or we just want it to not look like this. And I'm a big fan of, oh, that roof's gone a bit strange there. It's all right. We'll just straighten it up a bit. We have really big windows that kind of let in loads of light, which is always lovely. But we do have to be careful if the sun is bright and it's quite a warm day, that might cause the building to overheat. So it's a matter of getting a balance between the amount of glass and kind of thinking carefully about the building not getting too hot. And if we're really feeling adventurous, and we do get this sometimes, is we get a bit more quirky and things are a little bit more crazy, and we might even have a star-shaped window or a circular window. Let's write the word star under there. So, got a little fun fact that you might not be aware of, that historically in buildings, we had buildings that had quite a few windows. And here is our building with lots of windows. Now, in 1696, William III was trying to cover some lost taxes. And they had an idea that to avoid some of these taxes, the less windows your building had, the less tax you would pay. So we ended up with people blocking up their windows with bricks. And these are kind of called lost windows. And you might have seen this on buildings as you're wandering around your own towns and cities. And just to finish off now, I just want to talk a little bit about why windows are so important in terms of how we feel when we're inside a space. Now, if we've got a room, this could be your office or it might be inside your home, and you've got a window that's quite small, the space might feel quite dark and gloomy, and it's going to make you feel a bit sad. This drawing even looks a bit sad. It's a little sad face there. However, if we think carefully about the location and the size of the windows, it might be that we get a lovely view out here into nature. We can see the world passing by, and whatever we put in the space gets some natural daylight and maybe even some sunlight coming in. Let's give this a little roof just over the top. Make that roof light a little bit bigger, like that. And research has shown that daylight in spaces and fresh air just helps in terms of well-being and how people feel about themselves and the space itself. So, yeah, that was today. That was our little chat about windows.